Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare.
Okay, Hari Om, let's get started.
Sahana vavatu sahano bhunaktu saha viryam karavavahai tejasvi navadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Sri Gita Dhyanam. Om Partaya Pratibodhitam Bhagavata Narayanena Swayam Vyasena Gratidam Purana Munya Madhye Mahabharatam Advaitamritavarshini Bhagavati Ashtadashadhyayini Amba Tvamanusanstadhami Bhagavad Gita Bhavadveshini. Namostute Vyasa Vishala Buddhi Ullara Vindayata Patra Nitra Yena Tvaya Bharata Talya Purnaha Rajvalito Jnanamaya Pradipaha Prapanna Parijataya Dotra Vaitreka Panayi Jnanamudraya Krishnaya Gitamritadukhe Namaha. Sarvopanishadu bhavo Dugdha Gopalanandanaha Patho Vatsasudhirmukta Dugdam Gitamritam Mahat. Vasudevasudam Devam Kamsachanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Bhishma Dronatara Jayadratha Gandhara Nilokala Shalyagrahavati Kripena Vahani Karnena Velakula Ashwathama Vikarna Ghora Makara Duryodhana Vartini Sotirna Khalu Pandavai Gananadi Kaivartaka Keshavaha Parasharyavachas Sarojamamalam Gitartagantotkatam Nanakyanakakesaram Harikatha Sambodhana Bodhitam Loke Sajjana Shatpareiraharaha Pepiyamanam Muda Bhuyat Bharata Pankajam Kalimala Pradvamsina Shreyase. Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Lankayate Girim Yatkripatamaham Vande Paramananda Madhavam. Yam Brahma Varunindra Rudra Marutaha Tunvanti Divyaistavai Vedai Sangapada Namupanishade Gayanti Yam Samagaha Dhyanavastita Tadgatina Manasa Pashyanti Yam Yoginu Yasyantam Navidussura Suragana Devaya Tasmai Namaha Devaya Tasmai Namaha देवाय तस्मै नमः।
Hari Om. So welcome back, Sarika. Yeah, one satsang you missed. It's like, you missed so many satsang. So it's good to have her back. Merry Christmas, everyone. Today is Christmas, auspicious day for us to do our satsang. Merry Christmas to all of us, to all of you. So what we saw last satsang, we started chapter 11, and we saw that Arjuna says to Sri Krishna, in order to bless me, Vadanugrahaya, in order to bless me, you shared the supreme secret regarding the nature of the self. And because of that, Mohoyam Vigato Mama, the delusion of mine, this delusion of mine is gone. The delusion pertained to Aham and Mama. And with that knowledge which pertains to the knowledge of the self, the delusion regarding Aham and Mama is gone. You also gave me the knowledge about the birth and destruction of all objects and beings. As also your, that is Bhagavan, your unchangeable greatness. Mahatmyam Avyayam. And he says, Hey Parameshwara, O Lord of all, Parameshwara, O Lord of everything. The way you have described yourself, I wish to see your divine form. Hey Purushottama, the prime among all. So Arjuna is requesting Bhagavan. In fact, he's actually almost expressing a demand that the way Bhagavan has described himself, he wishes to see him, see Bhagavan. And then quickly realizing that is it become too much of a ask, he says, Hey Prabhu, if you think it is possible for me to see, if you believe so, and O Yogeshwara, O Lord of Yogas, you can make anything possible. So if you think it is possible for me to see, why don't you please make it possible and show me your true self, your form, your self form, completely, fully, the way you have described it. Now, Bhagavan Sri Krishna keeps saying, Pashya, behold. And we will go to verse number 5.
Shri Bhagavanuvacha.
Shri Bhagavanuvacha.
Pashya me partharupani.
Pashya me partharupani.
Shatashota sahasrashaha.
Shatasotthasahasrasaha.
Nana vidhani divyani.
Nana vidani divyani.
Nana varna kritini cha.
Nana varna kritini cha.
Shri Bhagavanuvacha. Pashya me partharupani. Shatashota sahasrashaha. Nana vidani divyani. Nana varna kritini cha.
Shata means 100, 100. And Shatasha means hundreds. Like we say hundreds of them. Shatasha means hundreds. And Sahasrasaha is thousands. Like we see in Vishnu Sahasranamam, 1,000 names of Bhagavan Sri Vishnu. Sahasrasaha is thousands. So hundreds and thousands. So Bhagavan says, behold, O Partha, my forms by hundreds and thousands. Nana vidhani, of various types, manifold. Divyani, divya. Divya also means that which is supernatural. In addition to being divine, it also means something which is supernatural, something that invokes magnificence, something that invokes surprise. Adbhutani. Nana varna kritinicha, of various colors and various configurations. So the blessed Lord said, Shri Bhagavanuvacha, behold, O Partha, my forms by hundreds of thousands, of various types, divine, and of various colors and varied configurations. Now, can anyone see the entire planet Earth at one go? Of course, yes. By traveling to space, we can see the entire planet at one go. if anyone see the entire solar system at one go? Can anyone see the entire cosmos at one go? We can see parts of it and then decipher the whole. Science has brought us to a level where we can see parts of the cosmos, put it all together like a jigsaw puzzle, and then see an image of the whole. But imagine seeing the entire cosmos together. Arjuna has asked to see the entire form of Bhagavan completely. Multitude of cosmos, not just one cosmos, one multitude of cosmos, multitude of universes, all at the same time. Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa said, and I quote, "It is Narayana who has become the all. Man is Narayana. All creatures are Narayana. The Rishi is Narayana. The wicked is Narayana. Whatever is Narayana. Narayana sports in multi-forms, displaying his glory in all these forms." And now Bhagavan continues in the next verse.
Pashyadityan vasoon rudran
Pashyadityan vasoon rudran
Ashvinau marutastatha
Ashvinau marutastatha
Bahunya drishta purvani
Bahun yadrishta purvani
Pashyacharyani bharata
Pashyascharyaani bharata
Pashyadityan vasoon rudran Ashvinau marutastatha Bahunya drishta purvani Pashyacharyani bharata.
Pashya, like we said, Bhagavan says, Pashya, behold, see. Pashya, Adityan, the Adityas. Vasoon, the Vasus. Rudran, the Rudras. Ashvinau, the Ashwins. Marutah, the Maruts. And also, Tatha, also. Bahuni means many. Drishta Purvani, never seen before. Never ever seen before. Charyani, wonders. O Bharata, Arjuna. Behold, Bhagavan says, and he touches upon the most striking aspects of his cosmic form. So what are the striking aspects? We have actually gone through this earlier also. Bhagavan had covered all this earlier also, right? The 12 Adityas. Adityas are the offspring of sage Kashyap and Aditi, the goddess of all gods, the goddess representing infinity. We spoke about the 33 gods, 33 sons of Aditi, from whom the 33 crore gods in Hinduism that we all know of, or at least part of that come about. She is the mother of all gods. The 8 Vasus or the Ashtavasus. The Ashtavasus are the elemental gods that represent aspects of nature. The 5 elements: earth, water, fire, air, and space or ether. The sun, so the 5 elements is 5, and then 6, 7, 8. The sun, the moon, and the stars. They are the Ashtavasus. The 11 Rudras, these are the personification of the prana that is responsible for metabolic process of the body. And the 11th being the mind and intellect. The 2 Ashwini Kumara, or the twin gods that are associated with medicine and health. See, look at this, all this much before, science talked about these aspects. Much before that, right? And then the 49 Marut Devtas, 7 groups of 7 Devtas. I'm not going into detail because we have covered all of this in detail earlier. The 7 groups of 7 Maruts, 49. They preside over the Vayu Tattvam. They are the storm gods. And they are the offsprings of sage Kashyapa and Diti, not Aditi. In fact, oftentimes even my niece's name is Aditi and everyone calls her Diti for short. That's not right, because Diti is someone else. Diti is the sister of Aditi, who is the mother of the 49 Maruts. Bahuni Adrishta Purvani. many never ever seen before. Ashcharyani, wonders. Pashya, see. In Vibhuti, we saw in the previous chapter, Bhagavan describes himself as the various manifold manifestations, the infinite variety, and he lists out the special among those, the ones that catch attention. He lists those out, and then he encourages us to see him, see Bhagavan in those aspects of creation. And when we practice seeing Bhagavan in various aspects of creation, over a period of time, we see Bhagavan everywhere. Here, he shows himself as the all-infinite in his single form. So, whereas there he showed himself as the variety, here he's showing the variety in his single form. How beautiful is that? And he continues in the next verse.
Ihaikastam jagat krishnam
Ihaikastam jagat krishnam
pashyadya sacharacharam
Pashyadya sacharacharam
mama dehe gudakesha
Mama dehe gudakesha
yacchanyadrishtumicchasi
Yacchanyadrishtumicchasi
Ihaikastam jagat krishnam pashyadya sacharacharam mama dehe gudakesha yacchanyadrishtumicchasi.
Iha means here. Ekastham, centered in one. Jagat Krishnam, the entire universe. Sacharacharam. Chara means moving. Achara is stationary. Sa means sahita. The stationary and the moving and the stationary together, taken together. So here, centered in one being, the entire universe comprising of the moving, the non-moving, all of those together. Pashyada, Pashya, see, Ada, now, see now. So Bhagavan brings in the concept of space and time here. Ekastham, in one place, in one form. Adya, all at once, at the same time. So see everything in one place at one moment, at the same time. See the entire universe, all the worlds we discussed earlier, right? The Bhu, Bhuvaha, Suvaha, all of those, which belong to one cosmos, and all cosmoses which have further worlds within them, and all the denizens of these cosmos who occupy all the objects in these cosmos, everything which is moving and non-moving. See it all, see it here, see it now. Mama dehe Gudakesha, in my body, O Gudakesha. Gudakesha is one who has conquered sleep or conquered tamas. Arjuna was in the worst form of tamas, when he had cast away his weapons and was completely forlorn in depression, deep state of depression, among the worst form of what is tamas. And now he has woken up, he's awake, and he's asking Bhagavan, please show me God, I want to see. So Gudakesha, one who has conquered tamas. See in my body, mama dehe. Yacchanyad drashtumicchasi. Not only that, whatever else Arjuna you wish to see, anything that you wish to see. Because Arjuna had earlier asked Bhagavan, about various things. And Bhagavan is kind of alluding here. For example, Arjuna had asked about in chapter 2, in verse 6, Arjuna had raised this doubt. Who is going to win? Will it be Kauravas who conquer us, or will it be us who conquer them? And if we conquer them, are we going to stand and remain after conquering and killing our uncles and brothers and, our relations and Guru and so on and so forth? What is the point in all of this? Who is going to conquer who, Bhagavan? Who is going to conquer who, Krishna? And Krishna is now telling him, see for yourself who is going to conquer. So he's actually showing the result of what is going to happen in the war. So what this means is, the reference here is to the past, to the present, and to the future. What happened, what is happening, and what will happen in the future. See everything here and now. But are these physical eyes of Arjuna, the ordinary chakshusa, the ordinary intellect of this human being Arjuna, this warrior, this king Arjuna, are these enough to see all of this? And not just see all of this, is this enough to gain cognizance? To understand the truth pertaining to Bhagavan, to the Lord? Arjuna is gazing, he is looking at Sri Krishna wide-eyed. But then what? Bhagavan continues.
Natu mam shakyasi drishtum
Natu mam shakshyas se drishtum
anenaiva svachakshusha
anenaiva svachakshusa
divyam dadami te chakshuhu
divyam dadami te chakshuhu
pashyami yogamaishwaram
pashyame yogamaishwaram
natu mam shakyasi drishtum anenaiva svachakshusha divyam dadami te chakshuhu pashyame yogamaishwaram.
anenaiva svachakshusa. With these eyes of yours, the eyes that have been created by nature, by Prakriti, common eyes, simple eyes, mam drashtum, to see me, natu shaksyase, it is not possible. With these eyes of Arjuna, Arjuna can see Sri Krishna, the avatar, the charioteer, his friend who has taken him to the middle of the battlefield. He can see that. But Arjuna cannot see or comprehend the Vishwarupa of Sri Krishna. And that is why Bhagavan is telling him or implying to him, you are gazing at me, you are looking at me wide-eyed, but your face is blank. You are not comprehending anything. Now, I am speaking to you in this satsang. You are all able to listen to me. But imagine a classroom full of students. You know, all of us have gone to school in some form or the other, at least as a student. Classroom full of students where all children are speaking. Everyone is speaking. What happens there? There is cacophony, right? Complete cacophony. Nobody understands, gets what's going on there. Imagine all of cosmos is expressing itself and using all its faculties, not just speaking or shouting or screaming. All faculties of the cosmos are being used and everything is being expressed. This Prakriti Chakshushu, which is the Prakriti or the Prakrita Chakshushu, the natural eyes of a human being, cannot see or decipher this form. Leave alone the intellect grasping it. Hence, Bhagavan says, Dadamite, I give you. Divyam Chakshushu, the divine vision. And Bhagavan says, Pashyame Yoga Maishwaram. Now see my lordly yoga. So when he says, I give you, he's given it. And he says, now see my lordly yoga. Pashyame Yoga Maishwaram. Aishwaram is Ishvara Sambandha. It's connected to Ishvara, which means lordly. We saw no in the Bhagavan, when we say, see Bhagavan Vacha, what are the aspects that indicate Bhagavan? One of the aspects is the lordliness of Bhagavan, the all-controllership. That Aishwaram, lordly. Yoga is the special power. So Bhagavan, when he says this, he's saying, behold, Partha, behold my lordly power. Now to the purely scientific minded, especially young generation of today. You know, I have my daughter Varshini sitting here. She's much more fresh than last satsang. You know, the jet lag has gone, so she's laughing here. I won't turn the camera now. Let me continue with the flow. Yeah, you come behind. And Amrita is also here, right? And the purely scientific minded, they may question these aspects, you know. Yoga Maishwaram, all of it together in one place. I mean, I understand that I cannot hear the children in a cacophonic class. I don't get what's going on. You are telling me that everything, everywhere in the universe, all at one place, in one time, in one form. I mean, this is all crazy, you know, it doesn't make sense, right? This is possible for people to comprehend, to say, to not believe, right? So let us look at this in a little bit logical manner. pun intended, because science is very logical. So let's look at it in a little bit of logical manner. In the evolution of life, which is very scientific, every species evolves to a higher species over a period of time. Like we have all read about the Darwin's theory of evolution, right? So you keep evolving and evolving and evolving, and ultimately you become a human being, right? The state of perfection of a human being is reached through this process of evolution. And when we say the state of perfection of human being, what do we mean? From the body, mind, and intellect paradigm. That is that perfection or the peak of evolution that we all refer to. Nothing in nature has been found to be as evolved as the human being's body, mind, and intellect. A body that has been trained to overcome all kinds of physical limitations. Every year, the 100-meter record is broken. Every year, the long jump record is broken. Every year, all kinds of physical limitations and barriers are crossed. Even, Sarika has come back from the mountains. When we climb the mountains, we feel ourselves that, we are able to do more and more and more. If we start doing, you can do more. So we humans climb all kinds of mountains, the best of peaks. Why peaks? We also go to Mars. We also go to the other aspects or other parts of the universe. So all physical limitations have been crossed. A mind and intellect that has created a humongously vast repository of knowledge, an unbelievably vast repository of knowledge. And all of this has helped this human being to gain insurmountable mastery over every other aspect of creation. Anything that is part of nature, the human being has gained mastery. Whether we may be physically weaker than a lion or a tiger, but we are the masters. We may be intellectually not as strong as some aspects of creation, but we are the masters. So these aspects of human evolution has made sure that we are the boss of this planet Earth. And all of this mostly kudos to science. But this quote unquote seeming mastery, I would call it seeming mastery, has not, why seeming mastery? Because it has not minimized the human being's proneness to misery. We are prone to being miserable. It's almost like a natural tendency to seek out misery and be miserable. So that proneness to misery we have not been able to conquer. In fact, all this mastery over everything else has aggravated it. The seeming mastery has not solved the problems of life and death. It has only complicated it further. This is where spirituality comes in. This is where spirituality brings fulfillment to human life. That fulfillment is very, very important and the final aspect of human evolution. We had all studied in chapter 8, Bhagavan had said, Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mamanusmara yudhyacha mayarpita manu buddhihi mamevaishyasya samshayam. What Bhagavan meant? Therefore, in every tasmat, therefore, in every moment of your life, sarveshu kaleshu, remember me and perform your duties. Ma manusmara yudhyacha. With the mind and intellect absorbed in me, mayarpita mano buddhihi, you shall come to me without a doubt. So just think about it. Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu, all the time, remember me. Mayarpita mano buddhi, this mind and intellect absorbed in me. Now, how difficult or how easy is that? Can we even for a minute, even while in satsang, can we be all the time focused on Sri Krishna for this 1 hour or 1 hour and 30 minutes, whatever it may be? Is it possible for us? It is so difficult for us to do this, right? But when we do this, when we practice, this is nothing but yoga. This is the prime, supreme form of yoga. And through the practice of this yoga, what I want to emphasize here, Arjuna is seeing Vishwarupa. Arjuna is seeing that. Through this supreme practice of yoga, Ma manusmara yudhyacha tasmat sarveshu kaleshu, Mayarpita Manobuddhi. When we keep doing this, what happens? The divine vision can be developed by each one of us. The Divyam Chakshuhu can be developed by each one of us. There is no probability in this. There is no chance in this. It comes through following whatever Bhagavan has taught us till now, up till chapter 10. If we follow it thoroughly, rigorously, starting with the sadhanas, which we covered in the last satsang, right? If we can go back, it's very difficult, we know that, but that is yoga. If we can do that through samachara, that sense of excellence, that sense of discipline, then each one of us, every human being, can develop Divyam Chakshuhu. And till this divine sight, or rather I would say this divine insight, till this divine insight is attained, the human being does not complete its evolution. However much science may progress, for us to complete this evolution, this divine insight is important. And when this evolution is complete, ma me vaishyasya samshayam, realization of God is possible. And this realization relieves the human being of all the burdens, all the miseries, all the problems which are within and without, problems which are coming from within us and problems which are thrown upon us from the environment. We develop the capacity to overcome these problems. Till now, science has not given us any solution for that, but spirituality has given that solution. It is for us to make that effort. Even to understand science, we have to make effort. Imagine the amount of effort that takes to go to Mars, to train, to qualify to go to Mars. It is unbelievable amount of effort. Every one of us cannot even dream to go to Mars, cannot even dream to sit in a spaceship. The kind of gravitational pull and push comes, even though the human body has overcome all the physical limitations, every human being cannot sustain that pull and push of the force of gravity. So that also takes effort. This also takes effort. Everything takes effort. Nothing comes without any effort. But this promises that when we take this effort, when we make this effort, we are able to complete this process of evolution to a point where we get that divine vision. And with that divine vision, we are able to overcome the issues, problems, anything that we have. And what we will see here in the Bhagavad Gita is that with this Vishwarupa Darshana, Arjuna completes his personal evolution or personal realization. He is enlightened. And then, what after he is enlightened? We are still in chapter 11. You know, chapter 12 to 18 are still there. After that, the Mahabharata is still there. What does Arjuna do? He is able to discharge his duty as a willing instrument in the hands of Bhagavan. So when we are able to complete this kind of a evolution, we will become willing instruments in the higher scheme of things, things which are beyond us in this world. Everything is beyond us in this world, but we will be willing instruments in that hand and will be able to easily carry out our duties. That is the message of Vishwarupa Darshana. Now, coming back at this point in time with Arjuna. So what's going on? Arjuna is getting the darshana of Sri Krishna's Vishwarupa. And he's getting this Vishwarupa darshana in Sri Krishna's body, Sharire, at one place. And he is left speechless. Thus, Sanjaya comes in and describes to us what is this that is making Arjuna spellbound. Now, Sanjaya, as we know, is the charioteer of Dhritarashtra. He is also an emissary for Dhritarashtra. He is the one who is narrating whatever is happening in the battlefield. The entire Bhagavad Gita, as we read it, has been delivered by Sanjaya. Sanjaya is the one who says Arjuna Vacha. Sanjaya is the one who says Sri Bhagavanu Vacha. And in a few instances, like in the beginning in chapter 1, the beginning of chapter 1, now in chapter 11, and later on in chapter 18 towards the end, he speaks as himself. And that is where, the beauty of poetry of Bhagavad Gita. Sage Vedavyasa comes in, the author of Bhagavad Gita, and he says, Sanjayo Vacha. Just like Bhagavan Sri Krishna has given Arjuna this Divya Drishti, Guru Vedavyasa has given Sanjaya the vision to witness, to see whatever is happening in the battlefield, including what Arjuna is seeing. Radha once told her companions that wherever she saw, wherever she turned her eyes, she saw Sri Krishna. The companions told her, "Oh Radha, you have smeared your eyes with this divine eyeshadow of bhakti. And because of this divine eyeshadow of bhakti, you just behold your Krishna wherever you look." Now Sanjaya will describe what the spellbound Arjuna is seeing everywhere. Let us go to the next verse.
Sanjaya Uvacha.
Sanjaya Uvacha.
Eva Muktva Tato Rajan.
Eva Muktva Tato Rajan.
Mahayogeshwaro Harihi.
Mahayogeshwaro Harihi.
Darshayamasa Parthaya.
Darshayamasa Parthaya.
Paramam Rupamaishwaram.
Paramam Rupamaishwaram.
Sanjaya Uvacha. Eva Muktva Tato Rajan. Mahayogeshwaro Harihi. Darshayamasa Parthaya. Paramam Rupamaishwaram.
So now Sanjaya is speaking, Sanjaya Vacha, and he says, Eva Muktva, after having said this. Who said what? Bhagavan said this. What did Bhagavan say? O Partha, you will not be able to see with these nature created eyes of yours. Therefore, I am going to give you divine vision. Not just sight for the eye, vision for perception, vision for cognition, vision for knowledge. That is what Arjuna has got. Tatha Rajan, then O king, Maha Yogeshwaro Harihi. Hari, the great lord of yoga. Hari is one who takes away the miseries, the sorrows of all the devotees. Yogeshwara is the lord of all yogis, people who practice yoga. And Yogeshwara is the one who gives siddhis to the people who practice yoga. Yogeshwara gives siddhis to the yogis based on their level of tapas. Any kind of yoga involves tapas. And based on the level of tapas, Yogeshwara gives siddhis to yogis. So thus the Yogeshwara is the embodiment of all power. And we say Maha Yogeshwaro Hari. Maha is large, big, the cause of everything, which Bhagavan has described earlier also. The greatest of the great. And what is this Hari do? Darshayamasa Parthaya, showed to Partha, Paramam Rupam Aishwaram, his supreme form. So now Sanjaya is speaking. And he will now further describe what is this supreme form that Bhagavan Sri Krishna, Hari, showed to Partha. We'll read verses 10 and 11 together.
Anikavatra Nayanam.
Anikavatra Nayanam.
Anikadbhuta Darshanam.
Anikadbhuta Darshanam.
Anikadivyabharanam.
Anikadivyabharanam.
Divyanikodyatayudham.
Divyanikodyatayudham.
Divyamalyam dharadaram.
Divyamalyam bharadaram.
Divyagandhanulipanam.
Divyagandhanulepanam.
Sarvashcharyamayam devam.
Sarvashcharyamayam devam.
Anantam vishwatomukam.
Anantam vishwatomukam.
Anikavatra nayanam. Anikadbhuta darshanam. Anikadivyabharanam. Divyanikodhyatayudham. दिव्यमाल्याम्बरधरं दिव्यगन्धानुलीपनं सर्वाश्चर्यमयं देवम् अनन्तं विश्वतोमुखम्.
So Sanjaya says, Aneka Vaktra Nayanam, with innumerable mouths and eyes. Aneka Bhuta Darshanam, with innumerable wonderful sights. Aneka Divya Bharanam, with innumerable divine ornaments. Divya Neko Dyat Ayudham, with innumerable divine uplifted weapons. Divya Malyam Baradharam, wearing divine garlands or necklaces, or garlands and necklaces, and also apparels. Divya Gandhanu Lepanam, anointed with divine unguents. What we smear, like chandan and all. Sarvascharya Mayam Devam, the all wonderful, resplendent, effulgent, Anantam Vishwato Mukham, endless, with faces on all sides. So faces on all sides, faces. See, in a company town hall, when I used to be part of this corporate world, even now I am a little bit, but when I was deep into it, in a company town hall, you see thousands of faces when you're standing in the stage, talking to all the team members, right? But to see them all, I have to turn my head all around, because there are like about 2,000 of our team members sitting out there, or maybe even more, right? We have to keep turning to gauge their attention, to talk to them, to appear to them that we are addressing them. Any public speaker does that all the time. Here, Arjuna is seeing everything without even moving his eyes, forget about his neck or head. At one glance, Aneka, innumerable. We are over Zoom here, and even if we were in person, for me, I often struggle. I don't know whether I'm looking into the camera or not. Sometimes when I go back and look at the recording, I'm actually thinking I'm looking at the camera, but I'm looking, for example, now I'm looking at Sarika's face. It's on the right side of my screen. The camera is on the left side of my screen. So what happens is, the natural tendency is to look at a human being's face when we are speaking, right? So later on, I realized I'm not actually looking at camera because I was looking at Sarika. But look at Arjuna, he's seeing everything at one point, everything. Even if we were all sitting in a hall, 10, 15 of us, at the maximum in a live satsang, we have, I think, gone to 23, 25 people, right? There also, we can't see everyone at the same time. Even if you are sitting in the stage, if you're sitting with everyone, then it's impossible. Actually, this makes me think, that humanity is more attracted towards corporate town halls than satsangs. When I was running corporate town halls, there used to be 2,000 plus people. And I know that companies like, Accenture and Infosys and all, there are tens of thousands, like, Bhagavan says here initially, right? Hundreds of thousands of employees are there, tens of thousands in these large corporations, right? Satsang, you will have 10, 15, 20, 30, 50. That is why spiritual leaders of today run their organizations like corporations. You can't help it, because people get attracted to corporations. So almost all spiritual leaders of today run corporations. Let's come back. All varieties of all faces, humans, animals, birds, devas, yakshas, Gandharvas, Kinnaras, all faces of all creatures of all worlds, and all worlds in this universe and all other universes. All the various wonders of the entire cosmos. Adbhuta, right? All the various wonders. Now we are aware of the 7 wonders of the world. And then there are 7 ancient wonders of the world also. Now one has to travel to each one of these places to see these wonders. The planet Earth, we just talked about it, right? Can we see the planet Earth as a whole? Of course we can when we go to space. It's a wondrous sight. Beautiful sight. One of the most exhilarating sights to look at planet Earth from space. Apollo 14 astronaut, and we have spoken about this earlier also, Edgar Mitchell, spoke about the experience of seeing the Earth from space. And that is also known as the overview effect. The overview effect is the experience of seeing firsthand this reality of our home, planet Earth, from space or in space as part of space. A tiny, fragile ball of life hanging in the void, quoting Edgar Mitchell, shielded and nourished by this wafer-thin atmosphere. From space, national boundaries vanish. Conflicts that divide people in this planet lose their importance. It is wonderful, Edgar Mitchell said. It is wonderful. This wonder. Imagine Arjuna is seeing countless such wonders. Worlds, cosmoses, universes, all together. And then he sees innumerable divine ornaments. Not just gold, diamonds, and sapphires. He sees ornaments that do not belong to this world here at all. Innumerable divine uplifted weapons. See, that's very important. Uplifted weapons. Arjuna's weapons, where were they? When Bhagavan started teaching him, they were cast away. And he was dejected. He has laid down his weapon. The bow slipped out of his hand. As contrast to Arjuna's castaway weapons, uplifted weapons. Innumerable garlands and necklaces and apparels. What we see in these big fat Indian weddings, that itself is mind-boggling. When you go to some of these Indian weddings, like had you gone to Katrina Kaif's recent wedding, it's mind-boggling, the kind of apparel, the kind of necklaces, the kind of ornaments, the attire that we see there. Imagine what Arjuna is saying. All bodies anointed and besmeared with various unguents. The unguents are those which are the perfumes, the chandanam, the vibhuti, and all that we apply. And how does all of this appear to Arjuna? Sarvashcharya mayam devam anantam vishwato mukham. An embodiment of wonder, effulgent, endless, with all faces on all sides. Meaning, Arjuna is seeing this everywhere. It's just surrounding him. What an experience it must have been. Let me give you an analogy. I don't know how many of you have actually seen, but you would have at least heard about the virtual reality experience. You get this device, beautiful device, you wear it around you. And then have you seen people who wear this device and experience that virtual reality show or experience? The delight in their face when they behold what's going on. It's 3D, it's real, it's happening. They turn their heads around when something happens on any of the other sides. They go up and down. You should see their faces. There's delight in their faces. Bhagavan Sri Krishna introduced Arjuna to this VR experience over 5,100 plus my age ago. Virtual reality experience. Incomprehensible, infinite, unimaginable. And then Sanjaya continues.
Divi Surya Sahasrasya
Divi Surya Sahasrasya
Bhaved Yuga Paduttita
Bhaved Yuga Paduttita
Yadi Bhasadrishi Sasyad
Yadi Bhasadrishi Sasyad
Bhasastasya Mahatmanaha
Bhasastasya Mahatmanaha
Divi Surya Sahasrasya Bhaved Yuga Paduttita Yadi Bhasadrishi Sasyad Bhasastasya Mahatmanaha.
Yadi, if, remember we have to break down the layout of the words because poetry is being converted to prose. Yadi, if is the first word of the second line of this verse. Yadi, if, bhah, splendor, Surya Sahasrasya, of 1,000 suns, bhaved, where, uthita, uthita means arise, when the sun rises, when the sun, comes out, uthita, uthita, yugapad, at once, at one time. Sa, that, syad, would be, sadrishi, like, as if, bhasas, the splendor, tasya, of that, mahatmanaha, mighty being. So if the splendor of thousands of suns were to blaze out all at once, simultaneously, thousands of suns are arising in the sky, it would be like the splendor of that mighty human being that Arjuna is looking at. In the previous verse, Sanjaya says Devam. Deva comes from the root div, or effulgent. Here he expands that effulgence and gives the examples of brilliant, thousands of brilliant suns. Yugapad, simultaneously at once. My brother Deepak, his PhD thesis in astronomy was about study of solar systems with twin sun. So there are solar systems that have two suns. Unlike our solar system, which has one sun, there are solar systems with two suns. And this study of Deepak was a breakthrough analysis in astronomy. Imagine here, Sanjaya is giving the example of thousands, the effulgence created by thousands of suns. Sadrishi, it is like that, a simile that is being given by Sanjaya. Similar to effulgence created by thousands of suns coming out, getting ablaze at the same time. And where did Arjuna get this vision? Did he have to go somewhere? Or did he have to go see something else, to witness something else? In front of him is Sri Krishna. And then in front of him is Vishwarupa of Bhagavan. Arjuna, what he saw was Sri Krishna standing there in front of him, transform himself to appear as Vishwarupa Darshanam, to give that Vishwarupa, appear as the Vishwarupa of Bhagavan. And others could not see this, only Arjuna. And Sanjaya could relate what Arjuna was seeing and experiencing. So when you wear that VR device, others around you will be laughing and smiling because you are behaving you must see people using VR. It's funny. Because they are going crazy looking at what they are looking. We are not. So they'll be laughing, at that reaction and response of this person getting that virtual reality experience. Similarly here, others are not. Arjuna is, and Sanjaya is able to relate. And he continues in the next verse.
Tatraikastam jagat krishnam.
Tatraikastham jagat krishnam.
Pravibhaktam anekadha.
Pravibhaktam anekadha.
Apashyadeva devasya.
Apashyadeva devasya.
Sharire pandavastada.
Sharire pandavastada.
Tatraikastam jagat krishnam. Pravibhaktam anekadha. Apashyadeva devasya. Sharire pandavastada.
Tatra, therein, ekastham, standing in one place, looking at one form. Jagat Krishnam, the entire universe. In science, it is said that everything, the entire universe, everything came from a small dot. We saw this earlier also, so I won't go into it again. Everything came from the small dot. At one place in one form, did Arjuna see a small dot? No. Sanjaya says, Pravibhaktam. Pravibhaktam means divided variety. Various aspects of creation, distinct from each other. Anekadha, in many groups, shapes, sizes, categories, whatever you can imagine. The Supreme is manifesting as the celestials, as the humans, as the animals, as the birds, as the plants, as all other species, all other creatures, all other aspects of creation in all worlds, in all cosmoses, in all universes, this Supreme is manifesting as all of them, all expressions of the same consciousness. And Pandavaha apashyad, the son of Pandu, saw. Tada, which means then. Then what? When did he see? At the time that Bhagavan showed him. And where did he see? Deva Devasya Sharire, in the divine body of the God of gods. Deva Devasya, God of gods, Sharire, in his divine body. So what did we see from verse 10 to 13 as Sanjaya starts describing what Arjuna is seeing? So Sanjaya says, in that unique divine body of the God of gods, infinite in all proportions and directions, infinite in all proportions, imagine that, with innumerable faces, with innumerable eyes, with innumerable hands, with innumerable stomachs, equipped with innumerable divine weapons which are uplifted, adorned with innumerable divine ornaments, innumerable garlands that are divine, innumerable fragments that come from celestial perfumes, of immeasurable splendor and full of wonders, incomparable wonders. And there Arjuna beheld with his divine vision that has been given by the grace of Sri Krishna, the entire universe in one place, in one single place. But at the same time, all of its subdivisions, all of them differentiated into their varied classes, all beings and objects, all from all the worlds, of all the worlds. This is what Sanjaya has told us. See, what did Bhagavan say in chapter 10? Verse 8 of chapter 10, Bhagavan said, I am the origin of all. From me comes everything. In verse 19, he said, indeed, O Arjuna, I shall tell you my glorious self-manifestations. In verse 20 of chapter 10, he said, I am the self, O Arjuna, dwelling in the hearts of all beings. In verse 39, he said, nothing moves, nothing that moves or does not move exists without me. And in the last verse of chapter 10, he said, I remain, O Arjuna, sustaining this entire universe with a small fraction of myself. Thus, in chapter 10, Bhagavan had said all of this while describing his vibhuti. And Arjuna says, I want to see, as a follow-through of what Bhagavan had only described. And he is seeing now. And Arjuna was looking at Sri Krishna, the Lord who has become all of this. He was looking at Sri Krishna, the Avatara. And in front of him, the Avatara becomes the Vishwarupa. Seeing thus, how did Arjuna respond or react? We'll see in the next verse.
Tatasa vismaya vishtaha
Tatasa vishmaya vishtaha
Hrishtaro Dhananjayaha
Hrishtaro Dhananjayaha
Pranamya Shirasa Devam
Pranamya Shirasa Devam
Kritanjalira Bhashata
Kritanjalira Bhashata
Tatasa Vismaya Vishtaha Hrishtaro Dhananjayaha Pranamya Shirasa Devam Kritanjalira Bhashata.
Tataha means then. Then what? Vishmaya Vishtaha, filled with wonder. Hristaroma, with hair standing on end. Of who? Dhananjaya, Arjuna. Pranamya, he prostrated. Shirasa, with his head. Devam, this Vishwarupa Deva. Kritanjalaira Bhashata. With folded palms, he spoke. Dhananjaya, what did he do then? How did he respond to what he was seeing? Filled with wonder, with his hair standing on end, prostrated with his head to this Vishwarupa Deva with joint palms, and he spoke. So what had happened in Dhananjaya's mind, in Arjuna's mind? Vishmaya Vishtaha. His mind was filled with wonder. Avesha means uncontrollably possessed. This Dhananjaya, that's why look at the appropriate use of the name for Arjuna, Dhananjaya. This Dhananjaya, who is the conqueror, Dhananjaya means conqueror of wealth. The conqueror of wealth, people look at him with wonder. This conqueror of wealth is possessed with wonder. We have studied earlier about how Arjuna is called Dhananjaya. So we will not get into that right now. We know why he is Dhananjaya. Normally, when somebody is a Dhananjaya, everyone looks at that somebody with astonishment, with wonder. Here, Dhananjaya is possessed with wonder. Dhananjaya also means light, which means Arjuna himself is effulgent. But imagine a bulb in front of the sun. Every cell in Arjuna's body is wonderstruck. What happens in the body? Hrishta Roma, his hair stood at its end. And what did he do? With his mind filled with wonder, with his hair standing on end, what does this Arjuna do? Does he run away? Does he fall down? Does he go crazy? What does he do? Arjuna has learned like a sincere student from Sri Krishna. He is equipoised. So in this sight, I told you about the virtual reality experience. When we put on this VR device and go through that experience, oftentimes we lose it. We have to control ourselves. Arjuna was equipoised. The prime number one virtual reality experience of all, Vishwarupa Darshana, and Dhananjaya is equipoised. And with that equipoise, Pranamya Shirasa, prostrated with his head, bowed down, and like we prostrate with the head at the feet of the Vishwarupa, he prostrated. And then he gets up, and then Kritanjalira Bhashata, with folded hands, he spoke. So Arjuna, completely mesmerized, continued to be equipoised. And Sri Krishna had said, Pashya, 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 Pashya. 4 times Sri Krishna had said, behold Arjuna, behold Partha, behold Dhananjaya. Now Arjuna will say, Pashyami, repeatedly. I see. We shall see what he sees in the next satsang. Thank you. Hari Om.
So we'll repeat the verses we did
Yes.
today. Verse 5 to 14 of chapter 11. Sri Bhagavanuvāca Pashyami Partarupāni Shatashota Sahasrashaha Nana Vidani Divyani Nana Varnakritini Cha Pashyadityan Vasun Rudran Ashvinau Marutastatha Bahun Yadrishta Purvani Pashyacharyani Bharata Ihaikastam Jagat Krishnam Pashyadya Sacharacharam Mama Dehe Gudakesha Yajjanyadrishtumikshasi Natu mam shakyasi drishtum Anenaiva swachakshusho Divyam dadami te chakshuhu Pashyami yogamashvaram Sanjaya uvacha Eva muktva tato rajan Mahayogeshwaro harihi Darshayamasa parthaya Paramam rupamaishwaram Anikavatranayanam Anikadbhuta darshanam Anikadivyabharanam Divyani kodratayudam Divyamalyam bharadaram Divyagandhanulipanam सर्वाश्चर्यमयं देवम् अनन्तं विश्वतोमुखं दिवि सूर्यसहस्रस्य भवेद्युगपदुत्थिता यदि भासदृशी सा स्यात् भासस्तस्य महात्मनः तत्रैकस्तं जगत्कृत्स्नं प्रविभक्तमनेकधा अपश्यद्देवदेवस्य शरीरे पाण्डवस्तदा ततः स विस्मयाविष्टः हृष्टरोमा धनञ्जयः प्रणम्य शिरसा देवं कृताञ्जलिरभाषत ॐ असतो मा सत्समय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मा अमृतं गमय ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्ति 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 हरिः ॐ श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ॐ
Hari Om, thank you. Any thoughts, comments, questions?
Again, can I ask a question? Every time I seem to be the one asking you questions.
Sure, Rama, absolutely.
No, my question may sound funny. It may be like asking the relationship between Rama and Sita after it, hearing the Ramayanam. But really wondering, why did Arjuna want to see the divine form, the Vishwarupa of Krishna? What was the reason? Is there a reason why he wanted to see the Vishwarupa?
That's actually a very good question. Good that you are wondering so. But just think about it. You know, we went through chapter 2, the Vibhuti, right?
Yeah.
And there, that's why I actually covered here also, right? That when Bhagavan is talking about his Vibhuti, he is talking about his expressions, his manifold manifestations as all aspects of creation, small, little, big, everything. And when he says that, Arjuna as a dedicated student, he is actually wondering that, is it possible for me to actually see this? You know, is it possible for me to actually witness this in real?
Is it part of a proof he wants, or he is just a wonderstruck?
It is more about inquisitiveness rather than proof. He has demonstrated by now that he is not having doubt. You know, he is not that. Remember, we talked about, Bhagavan talked about Shamshayam, doubt.
Yeah, doubt.
So Arjuna has demonstrated very well till now, by now, that Arjuna's questions in the beginning are little bit skeptical in nature. But by the end of chapter 10, Arjuna's questions are filled with devotion.
Not arrogance or
anything. He's not seeking proof like, you know, okay, show me. That's not his attitude. His attitude is the desire to see, the desire to witness. That is one aspect of it. The other aspect of it is that we can say that Bhagavan is using, but see, all of this is orchestrated by Bhagavan. When he's showing his Vishwarupa, he's showing the past, the present, the future. He's showing everything as is, as was, will be, as will be. He actually shows to Krishna the result of the war, what is going to happen. And he says, you still have to do what you have to do because you have to do your duty. Even though you know that that is the result. Even then you have to continue to do your duty. So Bhagavan is telling us that you got to perform your duty, number one. Number two, what I spoke about, you know, in terms of bringing about some sense of semblance into this Vishwarupa, right? So imagine for a modern world like today, you know, where there is so much heavy leaning on science, right? This Vishwarupa Darshana gives us the logic that as we evolve and get better and better physically, mentally and intellectually, ultimately, if we are able to get to a level where we are able to, relate to this higher power, we are able to go to this higher power, then our evolution is fulfilled. Our evolution is complete. And that is when we will be able to solve all these mundane problems and these miseries that we are prone towards. Even with all the progress in science, we have seen that, after centuries, after decades of absolutely magnificent evolution in science, human misery has not gone down. On the contrary, it's probably gone up. Especially in the last 2 years, it's gone up a lot. The amount of human suffering, not just because of COVID, those who are suffering because they did not get COVID are more than those who are suffering because of COVID or who have suffered because of COVID. The mental illness because of this pandemic is more than the actual physical illness. So the human suffering has gone up, not gone down. We have not been able to solve the ultimate puzzle of, what is life, death, life after death, and so on and so forth. What this brings to us is this sense of optimism, this sense of, going towards something that is bigger than us, accepting that, and with that sense of humility, attaining that peace and calm within, which will then allow us to live life happily, come pandemic or not.
So Bhagwan leads Arjuna to ask this question.
Bhagwan wants Arjuna to ask so that all of us
are benefit from it. Yeah, I got it. Thank you, Srini.
I have a question.
Yes, right.
See, one point you said this Vishwarupa Darshana is only for Arjuna. It's only for his eyes. Correct?
I said only he can see.
Yeah. So nobody else can see.
Because he was granted the divine vision. No one else was granted the divine vision. And without the divine vision, like I said, Radhika, you are a teacher, when there is cacophony in class, nobody can understand anything. So you need that divine vision, not just sight, the divine vision to be able to comprehend intellectually what he is saying. That is what Arjuna got. Others did not get. And Sanjaya can see what Arjuna can see.
How can Sanjay, I mean, that's the question. Actually, you said he is able to relate. And how is he able to relate when he can't see?
Because he got the quote-unquote boon from sage Veda Vyasa. Just like Arjuna has got this. So the story is that Dhritarashtra is the king, but Dhritarashtra is blind. And Dhritarashtra, because he's blind, cannot, normally king is going to be in the battlefield, right? The king is supposed to be in the battlefield. And at every single point in time, before the Mahabharata, during the Mahabharata, the eternal hope, the optimistic hope is that the Kauravas will realize that what they are doing is wrong and withdraw and, give Pandavas that small little thing that they asked, not the entire kingdom, right? So at some point in time, and who is the king who can possibly convince Duryodhana? If at all it happens, I mean, it's shown that Dhritarashtra was completely brainwashed to the extent that there is no way he was going to convince Duryodhana. But still, there is this eternal hope that Dhritarashtra could. So initially, Sri Veda Vyasa offered to Dhritarashtra the vision to be able to see what is going on in the battlefield. But Dhritarashtra knows he's the king after all. He has the intuition and he understands and he knows that the Kauravas are going to lose this battle, this war. So because of that, he is going to see his own sons losing, his own sons dying. He refuses this divine vision. And then he says, Sage Veda Vyasa, Gurudev, can you please give Sanjaya this, let him relate to me. So Sage Veda Vyasa gives Sanjaya this. And why does Sanjaya qualify for this? Because Sanjaya is not only a devoted, see, like Hanuman is a devotee of Lord Rama, and Ramaduta he used to call, if you ask Hanuman, introduce yourself, he'll say Ramaduta. Everything and anything is connected to his Bhagwan. We talked about Radha, right? Radha said, wherever I see Krishna, because she has that kajal of bhakti. That kajal of bhakti she has applied. And because of that, she sees Krishna everywhere. Similarly, Sanjaya was righteous and aligned and devoted to his master, Dhritarashtra. He always gave Dhritarashtra the right counsel. Even if that made Dhritarashtra angry with Sanjaya. So a righteous person who followed dharma, who did his duty, even though he was on the wrong side, still did his duty. Sanjaya was eminently qualified to receive this vision so that he could relate to Dhritarashtra what was going on, so that maybe there is a chance that Dhritarashtra will understand and follow the right path. This is the reason why Sanjaya was given that.
Thank you.
Any other thoughts, questions? Okay, if nothing else, then we can conclude today's satsang. We will meet next Saturday is 1st of January. So I am very willing to do the satsang. It will be nice. If there are majority of you who don't want to do on 1st Jan, please let me know. Message me. If there are too many people, then I may postpone. Otherwise, I intend having satsang on 1st Jan. Thank you all. Hari Om.